He said he didn't know, that if he had, he would have come, would have fought, would have done anything. But I didn't believe him. Not then. Not when the pain of 6 months without Mama still felt fresh. He said his name was Robert Miller, that he lived in a big city now, that he had a home, a wife, that Clara, his wife, was excited to meet me. But what about Mama? I asked, because even after death, I still held on to the idea that she might walk through the door any minute. She'll be looking for me. He knelt down, looking me in the eye. Charlotte, your mom won't be coming back. I had heard the word dead before. I just hadn't believed it. When he said it, really said it, something broke inside me. A silent crack. A part of me fell away and never returned. He took me home that same day. The house in the big city was large, bright, and clean. Wooden floors echoed under my shoes. Hallways smelled like fresh laundry and lemon. I wanted to like it. I really did. Clara met us at the front door. She was in her early 40s, with warm brown eyes and a soft voice. She looked like the kind of person who never raised their voice. "You must be Charlotte," she said, her smile calm and gentle. "I've been waiting to meet you." She reached out to shake my hand. I shook it back, stiff and unsure. The house smelled like cookies, not like Mama's house. Close, but not quite. "Robert, can you show Charlotte her room?" she asked. My room was huge, bigger than our entire old apartment. There were soft curtains with flowers, a new bed, a desk, even toys. But no creaking floorboard by the door, no chipped picture frames, no scent of Mama's hand cream. "If you don't like anything, we can change it," Clara said kindly. "This is your home now." "Thank you," I said, but I didn't believe it. Not really. The first few months felt like watching someone else's life from inside a glass jar. I ate at a big table, slept on clean sheets, went to a new school. Clara packed my lunch with little notes that said things like, "You've got this," but my heart didn't get the message. Robert was polite, even nice, but always distant. He'd ask about school like a teacher. "How was math? Do you need help?" He gave birthday gifts. He drove me to music lessons. But he didn't read bedtime stories. He didn't ruffle my hair. One night, Clara came into my room while I was lying awake, staring at the ceiling. "He's trying," she said softly. "It's hard for him." "Why?" "Because he missed everything, and he knows it." I didn't answer, because if he knew what he missed, why wasn't he holding on tighter now? Years passed. Slowly, I stopped asking questions. I learned how to fit into the family, how to smile for pictures, how to say, "Dad," like it didn't hurt. I wore nice clothes, got good grades. I was a good daughter. At 18, while cleaning out one of Clara's storage closets, I found the truth. A bundle of letters tied with a ribbon. The handwriting was clearly my mother's. My heart pounded as I opened the first one. "Robert, don't look for us. Charlotte thinks she has no father. Let it stay that way. You made your choice. I'm making mine. But if anything happens to me, please, please take care of our daughter. She doesn't deserve to be punished for our mistakes." The letters were dated, one just a month before Mama died. She had reached out. He had known. I read them again and again, the words like sharp needles. So he did know. She did tell him, and he stayed away anyway. When Clara found me crying, I didn't hide the letters. I looked her straight in the eyes and asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because your mother asked us not to," she said gently, "and because some truths are too heavy for a child." "But I'm not a child anymore." "No, Charlotte," she whispered, "you're not. And now you get to decide what to do with the truth." That night, I sat in my bed looking out at the dark city sky. Somewhere out there, other girls were living simpler stories with parents who loved each other, with homes built on honesty. Mine was a story about love that couldn't survive pride, about a mother who chose silence, about a father who chose comfort, and about a girl who carried the cost alone. The city university had a library with tall windows and an old wooden staircase that creaked like it was telling secrets. I spent most of my free hours there, hidden among the shelves, behind a stack of books, and a wall I'd built around myself. Other students talked about parties, trips, jobs. I just wanted quiet. I always sat at the same table, far left corner by the frosted glass window. No one ever joined me there. Until he did. "Excuse me," came a voice one autumn afternoon. "Do you mind if I sit here? Everything else is full." I looked up, surprised. He was tall, with dark hair and kind eyes, arms full of medical books. "No, go ahead," I said, sliding my books to the side. He nodded and sat down, opening a thick book on the human body. I tried not to watch him, but something about the way he quietly read, the way his fingers moved across the page with purpose, it felt safe. After 30 minutes, he looked up. "I'm Alex, by the way." "Charlotte," I replied. He looked at my stack of books. "Early childhood education." I nodded. "Planning to teach?" I hesitated. "Maybe. Kids are easier than adults. They don't pretend to care. They either do or they don't." He smiled like he understood. "I'm studying to be a surgeon. Not because I like blood," he added, laughing, "but because I like fixing what's broken." Something about that sentence stayed with me. For weeks after, we met at the same table, same time. We didn't talk much, just shared space, notes, the occasional snack. But the quiet between us felt different, like company, not loneliness. One day, while I was writing notes, he said softly, "You have beautiful hands." I blinked, confused. "What?" "Your hands," he repeated. "They're steady, precise, like a healer's." I laughed awkwardly. "I'm not a healer." "You are," he said without looking up. "You just don't know it yet." By November, we'd walk through the park together, the leaves crunching under our shoes, the wind biting our cheeks. It was the first time I'd let anyone walk that close to me. On a bench near the water, he asked, "What's your family like?" I tensed. "I live with my dad and his wife. They're good people." "And your mom?" "She died when I was 7. "I'm sorry." "It's okay." I barely remember her face, but I remember her voice. I paused, then added, "I lived in a foster home for a while before my dad found me." He didn't rush to fill the silence, didn't ask for more, just sat with it. "I don't talk about this stuff," I admitted. "You don't have to," he said. "But when you're ready, I'll listen." I didn't know how much I needed that until then. Someone who didn't demand pieces of me. Someone who waited. Winter passed like a quiet prayer. Alex walked me home from the library every night. He bought me tea from the vending machine, helped me with projects, remembered when I had tests. We still didn't call it love, but it was quietly growing real. One night in February, while snow fell outside and the world felt hushed, I told him, "My mom died alone. And for years, I thought she'd come back. Every time I saw a woman with the same perfume, every time I passed a bakery." He didn't interrupt. He just wrapped his arms around me. Not holding me tightly, just there, steady. "Thank you," I whispered. "For what?" "For not saying stupid things like, 'Everything happens for a reason.'" "Time doesn't heal everything," he murmured. "Sometimes it just teaches us how to live with the pain." That was the moment I knew he saw me. Not the good grades, not the obedient daughter, but me. And I was beginning to believe I could be someone worth loving. He was everything Alex wasn't. Confident, successful, sharp in a way that impressed teachers and made other students listen closely. His name was David Stone, and he was one of the youngest teachers in the education department. He noticed me after a presentation, praised my calm manner, my clear words, my presence. He said I had great potential, that I just needed someone to help bring it out. At first, it felt good. His attention felt like proof, like finally someone who knew the world saw me and thought I belonged in it. He took me to fancy restaurants, introduced me to his friends, called me special and rare. When Alex wrote to me about the chance to go to Europe, 3 years in famous clinics, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, I froze. He asked me to come with him, to marry him. "I want a life with you," he said. "We can build it together." But I was afraid of leaving everything behind, afraid of choosing the unknown. "I need time," I told him. He gave me space, weeks, then months. And in that space, David filled the quiet. He made me feel important, not weak, not broken, important. The wedding was exactly what people imagined success looked like. Crystal lights, white roses, expensive champagne, guests in nice suits whispering how lucky David was. Even Clara seemed overwhelmed by it all. In the dressing room before the ceremony, she touched my veil and asked gently, "Are you happy?" I smiled at her through the mirror. "David is a good man." "I didn't ask about David," she said softly. "I asked about you." I didn't know how to answer that. During our honeymoon, David was generous, thoughtful, perfect. He talked about buying a nice apartment, about saving for investments, about building a future that made sense. Then one night, I asked, half joking, what he'd think if we had a baby sooner than planned. He put down his wine glass. "Why rush into trouble when we're finally on track?" "Trouble?" I laughed. "That's what you'd call a baby?" He reached across the table, covered my hand with his, and smiled tightly. "Charlotte, I'm just being practical. I love you, but there's a right time for everything." That was the first time I felt something cold wrap around my heart. Still, I nodded. I agreed, because that's what good wives do. I started teaching at a local elementary school. David moved up in his job. Every photo of us looked perfect. His arm around my waist, my smile practiced. But there were signs, little corrections, subtle criticisms. "You're wearing that to the dinner party? Don't speak too much about your childhood. It makes people uncomfortable. I know you mean well, but let me handle the serious talks." I told myself he was just trying to help, to protect our image, that it was normal to feel out of place next to a man like him. Then came the first pregnancy, unexpected, fragile. I was scared and thrilled all at once. I bought a tiny yellow baby outfit and hid it in my drawer, imagining the day I'd show him. But when I finally told him, smiling, nervous, hopeful, his face didn't soften. "What the hell were you thinking?" he snapped. I wasn't trying. We talked about this. You're not ready. This wasn't the plan." Tears filled my eyes. "But it's our baby." "It's your mistake. You'll have it, but next time, ask first. Ask for permission." That was the night I realized the man I married didn't love me. He loved control, and I had just given him everything he needed to hold me tighter. Her name was Emily. She arrived in early spring, wrapped in the softest pink blanket from the hospital. She had my eyes and a gentleness in her that made my heart ache. For the first time in years, I felt something close to peace, something like joy. I thought maybe, just maybe, David would soften too. He didn't. He showed up late, peeked at her through the nursery window, hands in his pockets, like a man looking at an investment. "She looks fine," he said, then kissed my forehead and left. At home, he became very strict. Every hour of sleep, every feeding, every cry was a problem, a fault, a failure on my part. "Why is she crying again?" he'd snap. "She's a baby, David. Other mothers get their kids to sleep. Why can't you?" I started to remember the sounds of the hallway so I could rock her without him hearing. I sang soft songs I barely remembered from my own childhood, tears rolling down my cheeks as I whispered, "It's okay, Mama's here." But I wasn't sure how much longer I could say that and mean it. David didn't hit me then, not yet, but the words hurt just as much. "You've let yourself go. You used to care about how you looked. Don't become one of those women who blames the baby for being lazy." I stopped looking in mirrors, stopped wearing makeup. I didn't recognize myself anymore. And yet, when he walked in the door, I still smiled, still tried to greet him with warmth, as if love could be brought back with enough effort. When I got pregnant with Ben a year later, I didn't tell him for 3 weeks. I was scared.
Not of his hands, not yet, but of the look, that expression of disgust barely hidden behind his calm voice. Again, he said when I finally told him, "Are you unable to keep track of your own body?" "He's your son, too," I whispered. "No son of mine should be born into a mess." I started saying sorry for everything, for being tired, for needing groceries, for the kids crying. Sorry, I'd say automatically, and he'd reply, "Don't say sorry, say thank you that I'm still here." It wasn't long before his words weren't enough. The first push came when I spilled water on the kitchen floor. I slipped, caught myself. He stormed in, saw the mess, and grabbed my arm hard enough to leave marks. "Clean it up. You're not a child," he snapped. I said I'm sorry. He turned back and pushed me against the counter. My elbow hit the edge hard. "That's the problem. You're always sorry. Be better instead." I didn't leave. I told myself it was stress, that things would get better. When Lily was born, our third, I didn't cry in the delivery room. I was too numb, too used to hiding my feelings like forbidden things. David didn't come, said he had a meeting. The nurse asked, "Is Dad on his way?" "He's busy," I said. She gave me a look that said more than words ever could. At home, life became a battleground. David refused to help with the kids. "You wanted them," he said. "You raised them." Emily, my oldest, started flinching when the front door opened. Ben hid under the table when David's footsteps echoed in the hallway. Lily, too young to understand, would just cry. And me, I became a ghost, an empty shell, moving through the house like furniture. Until one night, Emily crawled into my bed, wrapped her little arms around my waist, and whispered, "Mommy, I don't like when Daddy's home." That was the moment something broke again. Not like before. This time, it didn't break me, it woke me up. Because if my daughter was learning to be afraid, that meant she was learning to be me. It started with a lie, a simple one. I told David I was taking the kids to the park, but instead, I drove to my stepmother's house. Clara had always told me I could come to her with anything, but when you live in fear long enough, even kindness starts to feel dangerous. We sat on the porch while the kids played in the yard. The air smelled like roses and summer rain. She poured me tea, smiled like she always did. "You look tired, sweetheart," she said gently. I stared into the steam and said, "Clara, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you think it's possible for two people to just not be right for each other?" Her eyes flicked to mine, sharper than I expected. "Is something wrong with you and David?" I hesitated. My lips moved around everything but the truth. "He's just strict. He likes things a certain way. I don't always get it right." She set her teacup down. "Charlotte, is he hurting you?" "No," I said, too quickly. "Not like that. I mean, he didn't want kids so soon. He thinks I let myself go, that I disappoint him." She didn't blink. "Sweetheart, no one needs permission to become a mother. That's not a failure. That's a miracle." I looked at her then, really looked, and for the first time in years, someone looked back and didn't see a woman failing at her life. She saw a mother drowning.
But it was too late. David found out I had visited them. He came home early, his face tight with anger. "Why were you at your father's?" he asked. "The kids wanted to see them." "Don't lie to me," he said. "You went there to talk about me, didn't you?" "No, I swear." He hit me, open hand across the face. I stumbled back, hit the wall, tasted blood. From down the hallway, I heard Lily cry, then Ben's small voice asking if Mommy was okay. David turned toward the sound, eyes blazing. "Look what you've done. You scared them." That night, after the kids fell asleep, I sat in the bathroom staring at myself in the mirror. My lip was cut, my cheek already swelling. My own face looked like a stranger's, and that stranger whispered, "This isn't love. This isn't life." I remembered the number Clara had once written on the back of a grocery receipt, a women's shelter. I had hidden it inside an old cookbook. My hands shook as I pulled it out, dialed. The woman on the other end had a calm voice. "This is the Women's Help Center. Are you safe right now?" "No," I whispered. "My husband, he hurts me, and the kids see it." "We can help," she said.
Do you have somewhere to go? No, just my dad's house, but he'll find us. We'll help you stay hidden, she promised. How many children? 3, all under 7. Then we'll move quickly. Come in the morning. I hung up, cried silently on the bathroom floor, not out of fear, but out of relief. But I wasn't fast enough. David came home early from the gym. "Who are you talking to?" he asked from the hallway. "A friend," I said, too fast. "What friend?" "Sarah, from college." "You haven't spoken to Sarah in 2 years." He snatched my phone, redialed the last number. A voice answered, calm and steady. "Women's Help Center. How can we—" He ended the call and looked at me like I was something he'd found crawling in his shoe. "So that's it?" he hissed. "You're planning to run?" I backed toward the door. "David, please." He blocked the exit, eyes wild, voice low. "You think you'll take my kids? You think I'll just let you go?" He raised his fist, and then the doorbell rang. The doorbell rang again, a long, steady chime that cut through the silence like a bright light in the dark. David froze, fist still raised in the air. "Who the hell is that?" he muttered. The clock read 9:30 p.m. Too late for deliveries, too early for emergencies. "I don't know," I whispered. My voice trembled so badly it barely sounded like mine. He grabbed my arm, pushed me toward the front door. "Open it, and if you say one wrong word—" He didn't finish the threat. He didn't have to. My hands shook as I reached for the door. My heart was pounding so loud it blurred the world around me. I looked through the peephole. At first, I thought I was imagining things, but the voice came soft and steady, just like I remembered. "Charlotte, it's me. Please open the door." "Alex." He stood there in a dark coat, older, sharper around the edges, but those eyes still gentle, still sure. David's voice hissed from behind me. "Who is it?" "A friend from college." David leaned closer. "Open it and smile." I turned the lock with shaking fingers. The door creaked open, and Alex stepped forward into the light. He took one look at my face, cut lip, swelling cheek, eyes red from crying. And he didn't ask a single question. "Hey, Charlotte," he said softly. My voice cracked. "Hi." David appeared beside me. "And who exactly are you?" he demanded, puffing up his chest. "Alex Green," he replied calmly. "Old friend." "Well, Charlotte's a married woman now. You should probably leave." Alex didn't move. He glanced at me again, then let his eyes settle on David with a quiet strength that made the room feel heavier. David growled. "Get out," Alex said. "Not without her," Alex said. David lunged, swinging his arm, but Alex caught it, twisted, and shoved him against the wall with a precise movement that showed training, not just anger. David cursed, struggling. "You'll regret this." "I doubt it," Alex said calmly. A few days earlier, Mrs. Peterson had stopped me in the hallway. She returned a package that had been delivered to her door by mistake. Her eyes lingered on the faint marks on my arm. "You okay, dear?" she asked softly. I smiled too quickly. "Just tired." She didn't push. But that night, I heard her linger outside our door longer than usual. Then a voice came from behind. I'd step carefully if I were you. It was Mrs. Peterson, our neighbor from downstairs. She held up a phone, screen still lit. I've been recording every scream, every crash, every night. I called the shelter myself, and if this man hadn't shown up tonight, I would have walked through that door. David's face lost all color. Alex let him go, then turned to me. "Get your things. Get the kids. You're not spending one more night here." I didn't move at first. I was still frozen, still stuck in the old way of just surviving. But then I looked at my children, 3 wide-eyed little souls huddled in the doorway, and I finally felt it. This wasn't fear anymore. This was freedom knocking. Later that night, after the kids were finally asleep at the shelter, I asked Alex, "How did you know to come?" He looked at me for a moment. "Clara called me. She was worried after you stopped answering. She said, you might need someone to stand with you." I blinked. You came all this way just because of that? He nodded. No, he said softly. I came because I should have never let you go in the first place. And this time, I was ready to open the door. The drive to the shelter felt like the longest journey of my life, though it took only 20 minutes. Alex drove with one hand on the wheel, the other gripping mine. He didn't speak much, just gave me the quiet I needed, the kind that didn't feel empty, but safe. The kids were curled up in the back seat, Emily whispering to Ben, Lily tucked in her arms. None of them cried. They just held onto each other like people lost at sea in a storm. When we pulled up to the shelter, a woman was already waiting at the door. She introduced herself as Maria. Her smile was warm, but her eyes were sharper than they first appeared. She didn't pity me. She respected me.
Inside, the space was quiet, clean, soft with blankets and gentle volunteers. I filled out papers with trembling hands while Maria brought juice boxes to the kids. "You're safe now," she said gently. "No one knows you're here, and no one will unless you tell them." That night, in a small room with bunk beds and dim lights, I sat on the edge of the mattress and stared out the window. Alex knocked once, then peeked in. "You okay?" I nodded. "I think so." He hesitated, then asked, "Why didn't you call me all these years?" I looked at him. This man who had been my safe place once, and somehow still was. Because I didn't think I deserved help, not after I chose wrong, not after I stayed so long. He stepped inside. "You didn't choose wrong. He fooled you. And staying, that wasn't weakness. That was survival." Tears filled my eyes. I let it happen. I let the kids see it. He knelt in front of me. And now they'll see this. They'll see their mom choosing better, choosing freedom. I broke then, but not like before, not into pieces. I broke open. The first few weeks were messy but felt good. Paperwork, legal calls, sudden fear at the sound of a closing door. The shelter's lawyer helped me file for a protection order. Custody hearings would take months. Alex stayed nearby, not too close, just present. It wasn't instant freedom. It was tiredness, bad memories, and doubts late at night. But one morning, I realized I had slept. Not just closed my eyes, but truly slept. And I woke up without fear. Lily started sleeping through the night. Ben made a friend. Emily asked Maria if she could help serve snacks to the younger kids. I began to feel like a mother again, not just a shield, but a source of warmth. David tried to reach out once. He sent an email through someone we both knew, said he regretted how things ended, said he missed the kids. I didn't reply. I sent it to the shelter's legal advisor. By the end of the month, I had filed for divorce. Full custody, no visits without supervision. My father visited. He cried when he saw me, apologized for not noticing sooner. Clara held my hand and said, "You didn't fail, Charlotte. You lasted, and now you rise." One afternoon, Alex showed up with a small box. "It's not a ring," he said quickly. "Don't worry." I laughed for the first time in weeks. Inside the box was a silver necklace, a small tree, roots curled beneath the surface. "It's the tree of life," he said, "for strength, for growth, for the life you're building now." I touched the pendant, tears stinging. "Thank you." He smiled. "There's a job open at a private preschool near the hospital. They're looking for someone who knows how to help kids who've been through tough times, someone who understands." "You think I'm that person?" I asked quietly. "I know you are." And for the first time in years, I believed it too. We moved into a small rented house near the school. The kids picked out paint colors for their bedrooms. We planted flowers in the yard. On Saturdays, we made pancakes in our pajamas. On Sundays, we visited the library again. Alex never asked for anything, but slowly we found our way back. Not to who we were, but to who we had become. Not broken people, but rebuilt ones, together. And when Emily brought me a drawing one morning of our little house, a tall man, a smiling mom, and 3 happy kids with hearts over their heads, I knew this was home. I wrote the letter late one night,
long after the kids had gone to bed and the house was quiet. Rain was tapping gently against the windows, and the air smelled like lavender from the scent machine Alex bought me last Christmas. He was asleep on the couch, a book resting on his chest, glasses tilted slightly, just like always. I opened my laptop, stared at the blank page, and typed. To the man I once married. I paused. That phrase alone felt like a lifetime. You once told me I was lucky you stayed, that no one else would want me, that I was too soft, too messy, too ordinary to ever be enough. For years, I believed you. I made myself smaller to fit the version of me you wanted. Smaller, quieter, obedient. I walked on eggshells so often, I forgot how solid ground was supposed to feel. But here's what you never realized. Every insult, every bruise, whether on my body or in my mind, wasn't proof of your power. It was proof of your fear. You were afraid of a woman who could still hope, still be a mother, still laugh, even in your shadow. You didn't break me. You bent me. You twisted my reflection. But you never erased me. And the moment I walked away, I remembered. I remembered the girl who loved books and dreamed of being a teacher. I remembered the mother who sang soft songs, even with a broken heart. I remembered the woman who once stood in a hospital hallway and promised her baby she'd always be safe. You tried to convince me I was worthless. But today, I woke up to Lily's giggle, Ben's arms around my waist, Emily's drawing of a brave mom on the fridge. Today, I walked into a classroom and met 5 children who've lived through hard times. Children who looked at me and saw someone who understands, someone who stayed. And today, a man who never raised his voice, who never asked me to shrink, brought me coffee just the way I like it, and kissed my cheek like it was the most natural thing in the world. You don't get to call that luck. You don't get to call this regret. You don't get to come back. I printed the letter, folded it, and slid it into an envelope. Then I walked to the fireplace and watched the flame take it. Slow, careful, final. I didn't need to send it because the power was never in the words. It was in writing them, in choosing to let go. Alex stirred on the couch, blinked awake, and smiled at me with that quiet knowing he always had. You okay? He asked. I nodded. Yeah, I just needed to finish something. He reached out his hand. I took it. Outside, the rain had stopped. The moonlight spilled across the floor, silver and soft. And for the first time in forever, I didn't feel haunted.